Gamers, today I want to talk about heavy gun drone squadrons. Those are basically souped up gun drones that are presented in the Imperial Armour Index Xenos book. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Are they good? Are they bad? What do you want to do with them? Before we do that though, I want to say thanks for watching. If you like this video, go ahead and hit subscribe. That way you don't miss any of my upcoming 8th edition content. Cool. So, heavy gun drones. What are they? They're basically big gun drones. They have a burst cannon and a marker light, and they can serve as this kind of multifunctional support unit for other units in your army. They're not going to be your offensive go-to guys, but they have some utility as a support unit. Basically, their profile is a big gun drone. It's the standard drone stat line, but with 3 wounds. So that's movement 8, weapon skill 5, ballistic skill 5, strength 3, toughness 4. 3 wounds, like I mentioned, 1 attack, leadership 6, and a 4-up save. So exactly the same, just 3 wounds. Importantly, having those 3 wounds makes them less susceptible to morale. One of the main issues with standard drones is that you don't want to take them in large units. The reason for that is because they have a low durability. They're not going to stay on the table very long. In fact, you're killing them a lot of the times just through savior protocols, and they have a really low leadership. So any losses that you sustain are actually going to be enhanced by the morale phase, which is bad. You don't want to be losing guys to morale phase ever, especially when it's on a support unit like drones. So yeah. So having those 3 wounds is actually really beneficial for these guys. It means that they can take savior protocols or sustain damage and not die as quickly to morale, which is nice. They come equipped with a burst cannon and a marker light. These are just the standard burst cannon and the standard marker light that you would encounter normally. And it has the automated targeting protocol special rule that basically allows it to fire the marker light and the burst cannon in the same turn, whereas without this special rule, it could only fire the marker light if it chose to do so. It wouldn't be able to fire the marker light and the burst cannon. So it's important that it has this rule, and that's a nice part of its functioning. From a efficiency standpoint, we're actually saving a few points on wounds, on drone wounds. If we're just looking for savior protocol wounds, this is actually a better option. It's only 18 points. And so you're saving a handful of points over buying 3 drones compared to, just buying a single heavy gun drone. However, when we compare the heavy gun drone to a gun drone and a marker light drone, basically you get what you pay for. It's 18 points for either option, but there are some strengths and weaknesses in that comparison that we should talk about. Basically, the strengths are that a heavy gun drone is going to be more valuable for you defensively. You're going to get more wounds for the same number of points, and that's going to mean that you're really going to want to pair these guys with your high priority targets, your crisis commanders, your Yvaras, your Arvarnas. These guys are going to be able to effectively take savior protocols hits for those units and not die, and also not contribute to losses in the morale phase. So that makes them actually really good ablative wounds for those units, and that should be the way that you look at these guys, is not as offensive units but as defensive support units for those high priority targets. When we look at their weaknesses compared to gun drones and marker light drones, that becomes more apparent. Basically, if you were to spend an equivalent number of points on marker light drones and gun drones, you'd have to be locked into a even distribution of marker light and gun drones. But you really don't ever want that. A lot of cases you're going to want either more marker light drones or more gun drones, depending on what you're doing. And so this basically ties your hands in terms of your army composition from a points perspective. And so having the flexibility of just buying gun drones and buying marker light drones individually and allowing them to not only be taken in different relative abundances, but also occupy different places in the tabletop and perform different roles, really does make those options, taking marker drones and gun drones individually, more appealing offensively. So it should be pretty clear that heavy gun drones are really not meant to be offensive units, or if they are, they're just really bad at it. So don't consider them as offensive unit. Consider them as a support unit for your more valuable targets. Take a unit of 3 of them and put it next to a Hervarna, and it can just soak wounds off of that right away. Or take it with the Taunar. With the Taunar, these guys are actually going to be able to do a little bit more because the Taunar is not going to be moving around. So having the heavy gun drone shoot its marker light is going to be more practical because it doesn't have the stable platform special rule. So without this stable platform special rule, which the normal marker light drone has, anytime a heavy gun drone moves, it's going to take -1 to hit with its marker light because, again, marker lights are heavy weapons. So these guys are not going to be wanting to move around the board a whole lot, and so you can see them working out really well as ablative wounds for a super heavy like a Taunar. So there's that. I think if you were to bring them, that's what I would bring it for, just as ablative wounds for my more valuable targets, but otherwise they're really inefficient in terms of offensive capabilities. So yeah, let me know what you think. If you're using heavy gun drones and they're working out great for you, love to hear about it. Otherwise, whatever your experience is, put it in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching and happy wargaming.